We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Just got a little like rush of butterfly excitement, you guys. This is good. And you know what? Before we get started, I'm going to say I got myself a cup of tea. And my tea, it's the yogi tea, and it comes with guidance, like little things on the tea bag. And it says, let your thoughts give hope, guidance, and upliftment to all. So I think that that's a big sign for what we're doing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Upliftment to all. Yep. I dig it.
So what we were saying about getting together, us being together, what are that pod thing that we listened to the other day, she was saying about some of us are going to be not working by ourselves. We're going to be working in a group. And as soon as she said that, I was like, ping, like, oh my gosh. So my brother had told me in a dream, or he gets these messages, like definitely very connected. He had said to me, and I had written it down in one of my journals, and I had popped it open the other day when I was moving stuff around because I'm still cleaning, like whatever. And it had said, Jennifer, you're going to be working, you need to be working. Sorry about that.
Ooh.
You're going to be working with a partner. Like he like foretold me that I would be in a healing business, but with a partner, that I needed to work with somebody. And at the time I thought it was somebody else. But since then, she's kind of just dwindled in the background. Like she's still a good friend of mine, but you know, that good friend that you see every whatever 6 months and you catch up and you tell them everything that's going on, and then you don't see them for another 6 months, but time has not passed even when you talk, like nobody's mad at each other. And so when that got brought up into my awareness again about some of us are waiting for a partner, I was like, oh, I'm not waiting anymore. I think this is my little partnership with you guys that is
trifecta.
Yeah, because there's a little bit of me, and I know you guys can relate, this like, oh yeah, I can go do that. I'm like on the ball, I've got all my stuff together and I'm roaring to go and nothing can hold me back. And then I'm like, I'm just gonna hide over here.
I'm held back.
Because no one take me for the first one.
Yeah.
I agree. Like I always watch Patricia and I feel super inspired and like, oh yeah, she's doing it. I can do it. And then I'm like, can I do it? Do I
actually have a celebration to share with you guys if you really want to be inspired?
Whoa. Yeah,
of course.
Like really inspired.
Yeah.
Put my tea down so I don't sing it everywhere.
Yeah. I got two, not one, but two high-paying clients sign up with me for long-term, for a few months of coaching. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
That is awesome.
Yeah. You want to know what's crazy about it as well?
What?
Neither one of them went through a website. They've never seen my website. Neither one of them, like I didn't have a link to send them to. It wasn't through an offer I had going. It was simply they posted, I answered a question. I said, do you want to talk about it live for 30 minutes? Like, let's just have a convo about it and see if I'm for a good fit. Yeah. Before going into that, and like, this is so real to the things that I was doing 4 years ago to actually be in this spot right now. Like I have dreamed of this moment. Like I have dreamed of this moment. And so before hopping on the call, I put together, well, for the first gal, I put together 3 options. There was like a low option, a medium option, and a high option. And without even hesitating, well, I want the full one. I want all of it. I want the big package. Yeah. And she paid me within 10 minutes. Like we hopped off. She's like, all right, I'm going to get the money. Like there was no, oh, maybe, or can you offer a discount, or it was like, I love you and everything that you're saying to me right now. I am happy to pay you, which is what people used to tell me could happen. And I'd be like, okay, but I didn't really believe it. And then it happened. And the second person
was for you. Do you feel like you started to believe in yourself and love yourself and see what you have to offer to the world?
Well, yeah, there was that. But honestly, the big fucking shift has been, it's a tweak to my manifesting skills, to be honest. They have been saying this whole time to me, you know, the secret, like I took it anyway as dream it and you can make it happen, right? Yep. Get into it, dream it, see it, feel it, know it. And then that wasn't fully working, right? Like I was doing that and I was doing it like a boss. And I actually put the universe on force mode a few times and like blew up my life hoping it would catch me, and it didn't. And so I was like, this is fucked. Like this isn't working. And then I got into energy healing. And the second thing was, oh, you have to dream it, but then you have to eliminate all your fears about it too, as you dream it. And I was like, oh, okay. That's where I was wrong. That's where I was wrong. Okay. So I'll start doing that. So I started doing that for a while, and that wasn't fucking working either. And I was like, okay, I'm dreaming it. I'm eliminating all the shit, and I'm still exactly where I was almost when I started. Like, interesting. Then I decided to ground. For the last like 3 or 4 weeks, I've been getting the message, ground. Be here, be in the now, all those, the presence of now and live in the now and all that was popping up. And I was like, I do live in the now. What do you mean? How could I be anywhere else? I'm right here. Like I'm fucking doing the things, right? I'm showing up. I'm in the now. But I wasn't in the now.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the now at all. And as soon as I started being in the now, I realized how not in the now I had been being, even though I thought I was being in the now. And I thought I was creating dreams and letting go of them and then living, but I wasn't. And as soon as I recognized that and started to do it, I have had abundance, like, and not just those 2 high paying clients. I've had a lot of other freaky abundance in the last few weeks. Like stuff is just getting eliminated. Bills and problems are going the fuck away because of those 3 things. Yeah. I dreamed it, I eliminated what was in the way of it, and then I just stayed where I am. And by staying where I am, I got super, not fake, super grateful for the things I have.
That's the key, is gratitude, right? Say that all the time.
Like you can put that as number 4.
Yeah. Because and the gratitude I thought I was doing too. Like back when I learned the secret, I was like, okay, I'm going to dream it. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to be grateful for all the things I have around me. That's kind of shitty, but it's okay. I'm grateful. And it didn't fucking work. It didn't work. I needed all of them together. Like each one alone kind of was getting worked, but when they all came together, and for me, the big game changer was being grounded, because I have been a daydreamer my whole life. My imagination, my creativity, not a problem. I've been talking to imaginary friends that felt real my whole life. That was easy. The problem was learning how to live with that power and not use it every second because it's so fucking cool, right? And just be me. And I can't even get over it.
All of that, like to sum it up, there's such a huge element of trusting the process too, right? So like when you're doing that gratitude and going, you know what, everything I have here is enough. I am fine. I am taken care of. I am supported. Great. That's your gratitude piece. That's your happiness. But then just trusting like the feelings you have when you're dreaming and the feelings you have when you see where you're going to go and what's going to come out, and then bringing those feelings into the now moment, which is the gratitude, right? Allows it all to unfold. It's like when we bought this house. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think, and my neighbor just sold for 1.65. I mean, like never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd live in a house like this ever. We went from a little 2-bedroom, 1,100 square foot townhouse to a 3,500 square foot house, right? And I mean, same thing. When we went through this process of finding it, and my husband's looking and he's getting kind of desperate. When are we going to find it? And I was like, you need to trust we're taken care of. Like we have everything we need here. And as soon as that switch happens, it's like, boop, there's the house, right? And that's the way with everything. Even this podcast and us getting together. And like, for me, I felt like I knew I was going to do a podcast, but then I had this element of like, do I have enough to say to people? Is it going to ping with people? Are they going to want to hear what I have to say? And then I was like, well, how else can I go? And then Patricia and I started talking about it. I was like, yep, that could be good. And the day we were all sitting together and just kind of reverberating off of each other, I was like, oh, this is it, right? And it was the same thing. It wasn't forcing any of it. It was willing to meet myself with each key that came in. And now here we are, right? And so hopefully between the 3 of us, the unlikely weirdos, we'll see what comes up, right? Because it's funny too. I wouldn't look at the 3 of us and be like, they make sense for friends, but we do, right? And we have such good stuff to say. And I just think it's so amazing.
So a couple of things. Patricia, I really think you need to make like one of those magical PDFs of what you just said, what all the steps are.
Yeah.
I think that would be really neat, especially as an accompaniment to this. Yeah. And then for Tiana, like when you said you had enough, I all of a sudden just got pinged, okay, don't put a glass ceiling on that.
No glass ceiling.
Don't put glass ceiling on You're Enough. Like anything is available, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I remember watching this video about thank you. And it was, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it was arigato to your money. So
I
anytime
have seen that.
like so I got my husband doing this, I got friends doing this. And so what they were doing was they were magnet fishing off the pier. So they throw their magnet in with a string and they were catching things. And a lot of times they were catching coins. And so I had the two of them, the Charlie and his buddy, saying like arigato to the money, like thank you for the money. So, and you're supposed to say it for every time you like put out money or come to you. So like you go and buy a coffee and you like arigato, and then you get paid arigato, like yeah. And just to be in that feeling of thankfulness, it's neat. This little conversation just reminded me of going back into that feeling, because that's where you want to live, in the feeling of it, right? That's where all the manifestation comes from, right in the feeling of it. And then that also reminded me of when I was telling you about the spoon bending.
Oh yeah.
You had to be in the feeling of it without any doubt, because the second that you doubted it, it won't bend.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm still working on this.
Totally. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And the trust piece is really cool too, that Tiana brought in, because it's after you dream it, really being able to detach from it and know it's coming, and there's no more worry. Like for me, I would always think of these things that I wanted, big things, and be like, okay, yeah, I really want that. And then over the days or whatever, I would get little like hopes that it would happen, right? Like worries if it didn't, but hope that it did, and kind of worry I'm going to be able to make it, instead of completely letting go. And I think that is part of also being in the now, is you do have to completely let go, because if you're thinking about that thing, you're not now. And so that, I think, helped me lock in that trust for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I watched my husband do this. So he wants to manifest all sorts of things, unknowingly wants to manifest, because he, wants things. He's great for wanting everything. And we were driving back from Naramata, and on the way back, there's all these beautiful houses, and there's nothing but wineries. Like, wait till you guys come visit. It's like beautiful. Nothing but wineries. And so there was this, beautiful house over here, and a beautiful house over here, and a beautiful house over here. And he was like, oh yeah, I want that one. And then he gets to the next one and he says, oh, I want that one. And then he gets to the next one and even more. He's like, oh, I want that one. And I'm like, stop it. Stop it. The universe just said you could have that one, but now you've changed your mind again. And now it has to rework everything. And now you've just done it again. And you've changed the color and you changed all the specs to that one. So like these things are never going to come if you just keep like flightingly telling, changing your mind, right? Like put your passion into one of them.
Yeah.
Right? You know what's pinging me about that? That is really cool. So yeah, a while back, I burned in a burn ceremony the wand, because I found myself doing that all the time. Like, I want this, I want that. Ooh, I want that. Ooh, I want that. And as you're saying that, I'm like, that's totally keeping you, like when you want something, it's not yours. So even to look at that, not only are you changing your mind and constantly being like, I want, you're just showing the universe that you enjoy wanting.
Yeah. Well, and that you're living in lack, right?
Yeah. Yep. Like you're just, I want. Well, okay, keep wanting then. You don't have, and you get to keep wanting. And that is the universe answering you want, right? Yeah. Because you're relishing and wanting, instead of going, yep, that'll be mine, and then moving on. Yeah.
My husband and I were buying this house. We did that. We made a list, because that's exactly how we started. I want. And I was like, hold on, let's make the non-negotiable list. I will have this in order to live abundant or comfortable. And so we did that. Like, we have to have the gas appliances. We have to have blah, blah, blah. And you go through, and it's true, right? Because then you get very clear on the direction of where you're taking your dream or your manifestation. But with that being said, I get what you're saying, Jennifer, but then at the same time too, do you think there's a potential that maybe the universe is showing Charlie, like, hey, yeah, look at this one, but what about this? And what about this? So maybe you're in that phase of showing the potential. So removing the glass ceiling. Okay, yeah. Well, what made you like this house better than the first house? And what made you like the third house better than the second and the first house, right? And what is standing out in those things that you need to have in your life in order to live full and abundant and peaceful? And what of this do you not already feel you have? Or exactly, like, where's the lack?
Conscious wanting.
Well, and I would love for him to just say, like, I love the color of this house.
Yes.
I love the swimming pool in this house.
That's right.
I love the, carport in this one or garage in this one.
Yes.
And like just to, and to make that wish like out of a list.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he's compounding too many requests into the universe that you can't, there's not enough time in this lifetime to go through those 3 houses kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think there's also like that sacredness in words, the words that he's using, because some of the wording that he was using, I can't remember exactly what he was saying. I was correcting him saying like, and I hate to say, don't say this, but I was like, don't quite say it like this.
You can feel the energy of their
work out the way you want when you say it this way. Yeah. So,
energy
is
behind those words.
All for wanting, like, and when he gets something, he's instantly wanting the next thing.
That was me. It was almost an addiction.
I can't satisfy him for most of the time. Sorry, Charlie, I love you, by the way.
Yeah. I totally get it. That was me. And it's been so freeing, really stomping that sucker down.
Yeah, he's come a long way from constantly wanting. I know he does want, and he's always shopping, but I mean, shopping's fun. So who doesn't want to shop? Camera's bouncing.
You're like on a boat.
My desk is so unstable. Oh, I can't stop it. But yeah, it's that living in that place, and it's you don't need to live in the place of always just wanting. Like, live in the place of having that money come to you, so that when you want something, you can just get it.
Yeah, but isn't that like the whole grid we're plugged into? Isn't this the illusion that's been painted? And this is exactly like, people walk around and say, oh, the millennials, they're all entitled. Everyone's entitled. Well, everyone's fucking living entitled, because we were told that we have to live that way, and that we cannot consciously create things that we want in our life that bring us abundance and flow and peace and make our energy big and bold. And it's like, we're not realizing that we have, exactly like Patricia's saying, the ability to create and manifest that for ourselves just by being grounded, by being present, by living in gratitude, by being able to dream it and see it. I mean, that is what your third eye is. That is what all of this is imagination. It's what can you create inside your eye, and what do you believe in, what resonates as a truth. It allows you to move forward into that energy, right? Like, we have had so many roadblocks put in front of us. You have to go to school and have a degree to do anything. You have to, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm a medical medium, so I can be a doctor. I mean, yes, you do need some level of education, but people have constant obstacles put in the way, and it makes them believe that they cannot go and achieve and attain these things. But I mean, that mastermind course, create the mastermind course and trust that it's going to come, and live in the flow of what that is when you're in that dream, and then bring that with you in your now moment. Right now. Okay, so in one linear time, in 1 month, I'm going to go and I'm going to create this mastermind program, and it's awesome. What's the energy behind that? Now bring it to now. Right now, I'm doing this, and this is fucking awesome, and it feels good. So let's see where it goes, right? And allowing that next right thing to kind of come in, and trusting, like, what's hitting your resonance, what's hitting that radar within you that is truth. Right?
Totally. I love that you brought up millennials, because it's so funny. And this is like the shift with manifesting, with society, with everything we have to do, that the millennials, I think, are showing us. And I see this at the grocery store with Erica, is the management is always complaining about the millennial, like, cashiers, right? They're like in their late teens, early 20s, right? And they call them lazy, and they don't want to work. And I've been hearing this for a few years. The millennials, they don't want to work. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to work for their money. Well, fucking right. They don't want to work for their money. They're teaching us, stop fucking getting on the hamster wheel, right? Yeah. They should be fucking lazy. Like, let's all be a little bit more lazy, shall we? And start creating what we want, instead of just showing up and working for the man because I'm told to show up and work for the man. Screw that, right? Yeah. So I love that with the millennial. Like, that's manifesting, right? You don't just plug into what's already been created with the work grid and getting all that stuff just shoved at you. You got to do it this way, and you got to want all the things, and you got to live for the weekend and want that bigger house, or, want those things. But if you really got to the nitty gritty, there's probably a whole nother dream in there. Yeah. If you're completely unplugged from those grids of employee and stuff. And with Charlie looking at the houses, maybe none of those are actually the dream. He's just following that, well, that's a bigger, nicer house right there, so I should want that one. And then, oh, that one's even bigger and nicer. Well, then, okay, shit, I need that one.
Yeah.
But in truth, what's really in there.
Yeah. It's seeing the potential, right? The potential of what you can create, what you can manifest, what you can bring about for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to those millennial kids, a lot of them are indigo children. So they come with a certain sense of knowing and a certain sense of expectations and gifts that we probably did have, but we've already shut down. Kinds of things where they're super, super open. I remember going to the walking clinic and the doctor saying to us about my oldest, and he was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's an indigo child. And we were like, what is that?
What do you mean?
And I had to go buy a book and figure out what it was, and then went through this list of things and thought, yeah, he's pretty close to all of those things on the list. Like, yeah.
It's interesting too, like as you say all this, like with the millennial kids and coming in and they have the entitlement, they have the laziness. Did the word and illusion of entitlement come about because maybe this collective of individuals, that 1% that kind of controls everything, brought in this idea or this grid of you are entitled, you are lazy, when in all actuality, exactly like Patricia was saying, this collective of individuals, these indigo children, know, one, they don't have to plug into this hamster wheel, as you said, and two, that they can bring about that manifestation.
Yeah. So, and you know what? It's interesting, the whole kind of lazy thing, because it's not, they present that way because of how we were brought up, but it's more like they have the ability to say no.
Yes.
Because there's a bunch of like moms out there, like me in that kind of age group, that I went through a long time of my life where I just did whatever mom and dad said. Like they, you have to go do this, you have to go do that. And you have to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, or whatever. I mean, not that strict in my house, but that kind of idea. And then when I was raising my kids, I was thinking, I don't want to have to, I'm not forcing anybody to do this or forcing anybody to do that. I didn't appreciate how I felt when I was told I had to do that.
Yeah.
And then you raise your kids so that they're not being forced to do all these things. So then when one of them says to me, no, I don't want to do that, I'm like, but I never got to say no to my parents. Like, what the F, like, kiddo? How is it that you think you can do that? And then I realized, because that's how I taught him to respond to me.
I taught
so in some instances, it's that's the way I want, and I want them to be able to question things. Like, I don't want them just to follow along, la da da, off the edge of the bridge, that kind of a thing. So giving them that, be able to question, but they also present as being that kind of laziness. Like, they do both work really hard when motivated, but for their own sense of motivation, not for my sense of motivation. Which is nice, because I feel like, you've been driven by what your society and parental ideas have pushed you to do, where maybe that wasn't necessarily my path to do that. Like, I didn't put much thought into my choices and my path, whereas I just listened to what other people were offering me. And that came out of like anxiety and a lack of independence too, where I was just like, please, just somebody take me. If somebody had taken me to Vancouver and said, sign up for the teachers program, I would have done that. Like, I would have had a different career, that kind of thing, but I was too chicken to do it by myself.
Well, and maybe it's not that it's chicken, it wasn't in alignment to you, and that's why it didn't happen. Right? Maybe that's the difference. Instead of being forced into, but would you want to be a teacher?
Oh yeah. It's been one of those things that I considered for the whole time. But I don't know about you guys, but growing up, we had like friends that you'd pick something and they'd be so passionately inclined to do it that you feel like that was their thing. Like, my friend Erin wanted to become a teacher so badly that I almost felt like I couldn't, because that was her thing. She had picked it. That was like her magical outfit. Yeah. And then my other friend decided to become a lab tech, and I was like, ooh, I could totally do that. I think that would be fun. And they were like, you're just picking that because I'm picking that. And I'm like, no, actually, I really think that would be fun. And then kind of chickened out on doing that because that was her thing. I was supposed to be picking something unique to me. That didn't happen. I mean, I do have.
Is unique to you.
I do have a unique diploma. I do have a diploma in water quality technology, so that is unique to me. Unfortunately, I didn't want to leave where I live now. If I had gone out to Saskatchewan or something, I could have gotten a job out there, but
you know what else is unique to you though, is this right here. And that's the thing. Like maybe none of that stuff worked out for you because you were supposed to be here.
Yeah. And that's true too. And you know what, Tiana, I do believe that too, because if I didn't go work in the mall and manage the clothing store and work for that weight loss company that I worked for, I would have not had any kind of public speaking ability. And that has like, yes, definitely. That's a strong point for me. Like I can get up in front of a lot of people and talk confidently, as long as it's a subject I know about. And all those things have set me up in alignment for what I'm doing now. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just interesting about how it was back then, those feelings, right? Like, and how just following that path of like, who told you what you had to be?
And that's kind of what happens in school, right? They kind of go, hey, what are you going to be when you grow up? And there's sort of this list of appropriate jobs you're going to pick from, or at least that's how it felt presented to me. And it was always like, oh, which one of those do I want to do, instead of complete anything is possible, create stance. You know, our parents' generation didn't come from that anything is possible. They came from what will logically work and get you to retirement, or, you know, what's going to make you enough money. And so we didn't even dream, you know, as big as you were dreaming at that time was, okay, what are my friends picking? Oh, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that, instead of what's really in my soul, what's my blueprint. Like that wasn't even a
well, and
they have to pick now. Like they're picking, like James is in grade 10.
Yeah,
he has to pick now for the next
life
career.
My kids are 7 and 4, about to turn 7 and 4 this week and a couple weeks after that. And we went to my grandma's house yesterday. My grandma's saying, what do you want to be when you're older? And my 4-year-old's like, well, I'm going to be a fireman and a policeman and a garbage truck driver. And I'm like, you know, like how the fuck is anybody supposed to know? And this is something we actually ingrain in our children from the very, very, very beginning.
Yeah. And guess what that is? Teaching them not to be in the now.
Exactly.
Right? Where are you going to be in 20 years, little kid?
Yeah. And even at that, I mean, when I think of my own self in grade 10, 11, and 12, and you're doing these career studies and you're trying to figure out what you want to do and where you want to do your work experience, and you're filling out these tests on, oh, okay, based on these qualities, I'd be really good at being a homemaker, you know, whatever it is. And it's like, how the fuck are you supposed to know? Because I change my mind as much as I change my underwear. And that is the whole thing, I think, with being a dreamer and with being someone who's trying to live in the moment. And it's, what is my next right move? And the one thing that is true since I was a child is that I did always have this ability to kind of heal and kind of know things outside of what was being presented to me, right? And then at some point I shut that off and I got scared of that, and I thought, oh no, that's not what society wants. That's not what my grandparents want and my parents want. So I better go and do this. And then I felt this obligation, like I have to do something post-secondary. So what did I do? I spent $20,000 going to school to be a makeup artist to the movie stars without researching or knowing anything. I was like, well, I'm creative, I can do that. And I step into it, and then I'm like, what? I have to work how many hours in a day for how long? I can't be a mom. I can't do this. And then it was like, do I pick career? Or do I go this way and eventually want to have a family and do that? So then I dropped that like a hot cake, had a bunch of random jobs for a while, went to school, got a diploma to be an EA, so working with special needs kids in the school system. I was like, okay, well, this is cool. And then I got pregnant and I was like, well, other people's kids suck. I don't want to do this anymore. It's exhausting, right? And so it's like, you're constantly evolving and changing. And where did I come back to? I full circled right back to, no, I want to help people who are on this, like plugged into all these grids and these illusions and believing that they're not enough and they can't do things, they can't shift things, which is now taking us into this fucking pandemic of depression and mental health issue, right? And it's massive. And I think that that's like, for us three, the one commonality that really brought us together is being sufferers on some level of depression or anxiety and wanting to come in and go, okay, well, how do we clear the fucking clutter and just be us and know that we are enough and the choices we make are right? And you don't have to go find a purpose. Maybe our purpose is just being in the now moment and removing the fucking illusion, removing the veil, removing the bullshit, and going, okay, what is right for me right now in this moment? So I'll tell you, like, I feel great right now. I like this moment. It feels good, right?
Totally.
And who are we doing it for? Us. And then hopefully people who want to listen and people who will resonate with what we have to say, and we'll give some little nuggets to wake them up and go, hold on a second, why can't I do that? Well, you can.
Totally.
Going back to the unlikely friendships, like healing modalities is what's brought us together.
Yeah.
The commonality of that,
Well,
and the want for knowledge.
Healing, but like all of us, you know, we've had these conversations many, many times, and it's too bad we haven't recorded before, because I think we've had juicy nuggets come up multiple times. But I mean, for each of us, we have identified as the black sheep in our family. We have decided that we weren't going to follow through on the expectation of society or family line, right? In doing those things. We've been the ones that are here to be the circuit breakers, to shake the algorithms, to do things different, to raise our children different, to see things different, to, right? Like just everything has been different. And then, you know, how great we walk into the course that we take and we meet each other. And it was amazing going through that course. But I think for me, my biggest takeaway is the friendships that happen here.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's incredible. I hope that there are people who we can help, who will resonate with one or all of us, and I want to have some support in their life so that they can find themselves. Because I know for my own reality, as I post things on social media, the amount of people coming back being like, I don't know myself, or I'm empathetic and I'm absorbing everything and I don't know how to stop. And it's like, well, fuck, all this shit has been fed to you and you've been bought to believe that this is your truth and your reality, and it's not. Like, what is your truth? What do you want for your truth? And why do you feel like it's not okay for you to live authentically in that truth? Well, because we've been told we can't. So how do we undo that shit? How do we heal that shit? How do we clear the clutter? How do we remove the emotions? How do we get the flow and the energy back and just go, you know, I'm fucking weird and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm 38 years old and it's only this year that I've been like, I'm a fucking weirdo and I love it. And if you don't like me, that's okay. I'm still going to throw some love your way and then I'm going to move on. Right.
Yeah. And I think that is the biggest tip on making human and easy, is seeing yourself truly as you are and running with it.
And knowing it's
instead
enough.
of fitting into all the different.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You are enough as you are.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. Maybe ask some people on our different pages what kind of stuff they'd like to hear us maybe ramble about, talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Put out the questions.
You know, when I think of my higher self and my extension, and this is, you know, we'll one day podcast on this because I'm sure people would love to know too, but I've been told by multiple people that I'm Elven. And the more that I think of that, the more I'm starting to see her and see what she looks like with her like pointy ears and just, and I'm like, you know what, maybe one day I'm just going to throw on some prosthetic pointy ears and really break through.
I've got like one kind of little point on my ear right here.
Do you? I don't have
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I have this one little thing. And somebody had said to me, we were doing something. It was, I don't know, at one of those convention kind of things. Like they do, not like a job fair, but like a health fair. And she had said to me, oh, and your little fairy ears there. And I was like, what?
Fairy ears? What?
I was like, oh, that's interesting. Where did that come from? She's like, yeah, the little thing you have there. And then she started kind of going into that. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll take it.
Well, that's cool. Fairy ears. I guess they kind of have like elf style ears too, don't they?
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. You can have whatever style ears, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can have any ear you want.
Yeah.
And to manifest pointed ears, did it work?
Takes a bit to come in. They got to kind of throw in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be careful how you manifest that your kids are going to have pointed ears. Like when their kids, when they have their kids, you're going to be like, that's what I manifested.
Yeah.
Well, should we finish right there? My tip, generally is don't eat yellow snow. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you got, Tiana?
What is my tip? My tip is look both ways before you cross the road.
That does help. That is a very good tip.
We don't really have a tip for today. Just come and join our journey and see if we have something for you. And don't forget to live in gratitude. It's important.
Yep. Put those manifesting pieces together, bitches.
Live in gratitude. Everything else comes about from there.